Yes, sir.
The United States spends more on defense than any other country in the world. Do we need to spend so much on defense? Should we spend more?
We need to be providing the defense that we're providing. Whether we can do that for a lower cost is another question. The threats against this country are very real. They continue to be, as we have seen, requiring conventional force as well as very high-tech and new force. I believe the cheapest wars are the wars you don't have to fight in the first place because you've invested in intelligence and diplomacy that can help to head these things off. I think we have started to make that shift towards a heavier investment in intelligence and diplomacy. Our human intelligence against the Soviets took years to develop. For years, we were accepting Stalin's claims about this great economic engine he was creating before we were able to get in and see the kind of Potemkin village setup that was there. Human intelligence is extremely important, and it takes a long time to create, particularly across culture and language barriers. We must continue to support our military in these endeavors. But one of the things we owe our military is making sure that we're spending those dollars in the most efficient way. There was an argument made for years that these private contractors could do it better and do it cheaper. In a few cases, that's been the case. More often, it has not. We have seen in the field, I've seen in the field in Afghanistan, where our hardworking men and women in uniform are standing up to the honor and tradition of our armed services while standing next to folks who are not and are making our mission more difficult, not easier. We must understand that these threats are real. China, for the most part, is an economic competitor. We do not know over the next 20 years whether we will see a military threat rise in that region. We have Iran and North Korea and other areas. These threats are real, and no one else is stepping up to the plate. So I think we have to be serious about this. We also do see commercial things come out of that. For example, the internet, a government-created product out of the Defense Department that then led to enormous commercial applications. So as we go forward, we must maintain that level of defense. I do believe, as Secretary Gates has suggested, that there are ways that we can find savings and efficiencies within that. And I certainly think we owe that to our troops and to our country. It is an enormous part of the budget, particularly discretionary defense spending, which is the kind of defense spending set not by the Pentagon, but by Congress. You end up with someone like a Chairman Jack Murtha, who's passed now, so I'll be delicate about what I say, but I did vote to have him investigated over and over again. It's an enormous amount of money that is being driven more by politics than by Pentagon priorities. So I think when we look at this, take the defense threat seriously and make sure we're ready not just for today's threats, but tomorrow's threats. Where possible, make that investment in intelligence and diplomacy that reduce those threats over time, and look for places where we can do it cheaper and better over time as well. Finally, and I'm running out of time, we need to make sure that our commitment to our returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan are not only treated with honor today or while the headlines continue, but for the rest of their lives. We have made a lifetime commitment to those veterans in terms of their economic security, their health security, and their families, and we must live up to that.
Well, as a father of a Marine that's currently serving and recently returned from Afghanistan, certainly I believe in a strong military. But I think that if we're being intellectually honest, whenever we're looking at doing budget cuts, we have to look at every single department across the board. There is wasteful spending that's happening in the military. I spent 4 years in the military. I saw waste happening. I saw a lot of things that we all scratched our head and said, what in the world is going on? It's, again, getting back to the responsibility of taking the time to do what's necessary to ensure that these systems are cost effective and we're cutting waste at every specific point that we can. We have obligations to our troops. Right now, in the middle of a war in Afghanistan, we're drawing things down in Iraq now. Is this the time to consider cutting benefits or pay for troops? No, it's not. We don't need to add burdens to our troops. We need to fulfill the commitments that we've made. Folks, I very well could have to utilize the VA system later in my life. I want it to be there. I want my son, who may come back from war, who may come back perfectly healthy, but years later may have to go in for hearing or problems that he developed. When you're young, when you're 20 years old, you're invincible. When you're 40 years old, the things that happened when you were 20 come back and haunt you a little bit. And we need to be prepared because there's going to be a large influx of men and women coming back. We talk about intelligence. Again, the party of unintended consequences, the Democratic Party. In the 1970s, they stripped our intelligence apparatus in the name of something they felt was politically correct. They felt that maybe, well, listen, this is just because there's a black guy. We need to do other things. And most experts agree that things got out of hand because we didn't have resources on the ground. It took us months to come up to speed, to get resources on the ground, physical intelligence, not just simple intelligence by wire or email communications or things like that, but on-the-ground intelligence. And they virtually stripped that again. Unintended consequences. We have to be forward-thinking, and we have to think of what our consequences or what consequences we'll face if we implement these actions, because every action has an equal and opposite reaction.